let's talk about how to trademark your business name and logo. Because look, people love to steal successful business ideas and assets. I mean, I personally had people literally copy word for word my entire website for one of my companies, including using our logo. So listen, it does happen. And if you want to protect your company's IP or intellectual property, then you're going to want to seriously consider trademarking your brand. Now, the process of trademarking your business name and your logo is actually very easy. So in this video, what I want to do is cover what is a trademark and why you may consider registering one, the step-by-step process for actually registering a trademark, and some common questions and misconceptions that come up about trademarks. Let's go ahead and get started with number one. What is a trademark? So it's very simple. A trademark is a word, slogan, phrase, symbol, and or design that represents your company. And it can be anything from a business name to a business symbol. And the main reason you may want to trademark your brand is to prevent other people from using it without your permission. Now, trademarks are issued and managed through the U.S. Patent and Trade Office, also called USPTO. And in order for a trademark to be registered, it must be distinctive, meaning that it must identify and distinguish itself from other products or services from other companies. And that's very important because when you file for a trademark, you're essentially claiming exclusive rights to use that mark in connection to the sale of your goods and your services. Now, there are two main types of trademarks. Number one, you have a standard character mark, and that's when you're seeking protection of just the words without any particular design, font, or style. For example, if you wanted to trademark the word Apple, you would just file a standard character mark on that word, and then anyone who wanted to use the word Apple for their company would need to get your permission first. The second type of trademark is called number two, a stylized or designed mark. And that's when you're seeking to protect a certain logo or symbol. So for example, if you wanted to trademark the Nike swoosh, you would need to file for a stylized or designed trademark. And then anyone who wanted to use that particular logo would need to get your permission first. All right, so now that we understand what a trademark is, let's move on to number two and talk about why register a trademark. But really quick, before I move on, if you're new here, let me briefly introduce myself. What's up? I'm Sean, a self-made millionaire and entrepreneur, and I'm on a mission to help people start, fund, and grow their business. Hey, if you're enjoying this video so far, do me a favor and like and subscribe to my channel. It really does help me out. So if you do, tell me in the comment section below so that I can personally reply to thank you. Okay, so number two, why register a trademark? So here's the thing. You're actually not required to register a trademark to have some legal protection. That's right, because as soon as you start operating your business and using your name, your logos, your slogan, you establish a right called common law ownership, which makes you a trademark owner and gives you the right to enforce your trademark, your logos, and your names in court. So why in the world would you need to register a trademark? Well, there are some flaws with common law ownership. The biggest one is protection is only within your geographical region, which is usually your state. So for example, if you open a restaurant in California, common law ownership does not stop someone from opening a restaurant with the same name and logo in a state like New York. And so there are some big advantages to federally trademarking your name or logo. As you can see, advantage number one will be national protection, because registration gives you legal presumption of ownership nationwide. So if someone challenges your trademark, you don't have to prove you're the rightful owner because the law already presumes it. Okay, advantage number two is federal registration can allow you to recover attorney fees and damages if you have to sue someone for trademark infringement. Now, advantage number 3 is once your trademark is registered, you can stop people from infringing on your trademark when they're importing different goods and services. And finally, advantage number 4 is when you have a trademark, it can help you get financing because it adds value to your company and it gives confidence to investors and lenders who know you are protected. All right, so now that we know what a trademark is and why you should register one, let's move on to number 3 and talk about some common questions and misconceptions about trademarks. So the first big question is, how much does a trademark cost? So there are 2 main types of costs. The first cost is the actual trademark application. Application fees are usually about $500 and are non-refundable. Now, these fees may go higher depending on if you end up filing late or you just need to reapply completely. The second type of cost will be attorney fees, and these really vary depending on who you are working with. The average attorney costs in any field are usually between $250 to $350 per hour. But getting a trademark is definitely something that you can do yourself without the help of an attorney. Okay, next question. Do you need a state and federal trademark? So you don't need both. If you plan on doing business in just one state, then a state trademark is fine. And as we mentioned, with common law ownership, even that may not be necessary. However, if you plan on operating in multiple states, then instead of registering a state trademark, just go ahead and register for a federal trademark because that'll protect you in every state. Now, next question. How long does it take to get a trademark? So there are a few different stages in the process. The first stage is the filing stage, which is where you do an online application with the USPT office. After that, it usually takes about 3 to 4 months for your application to be reviewed by an examining attorney. If everything looks good, then your trademark will be published for opposition. This is basically just a 30-day waiting period where anyone can come forward and say that your trademark violates their rights or their business. If there are no objections, then 2 weeks after the opposition period ends, you should receive your certificate of registration in the mail. So all in all, from start to finish, it usually takes about 6 months to get a trademark. Now, before I start talking about how to set up a trademark, let me share my thoughts on trademarking your business name and logo for the people who love to hear my personal take and my perspective on these types of things. So I personally don't have a trademark on any of my businesses, none of my business names or logos because, my companies are very plain and simple. And so excellent business execution is what drives millions of dollars in revenues for me and my businesses. And that's executing stuff like the marketing campaigns and our sales process and the overall services and products that my companies offer. So it's not the brand name or the logo that makes people want to do business with us. In other words, if I stop executing my business plan, then I'm almost certain that my revenues will plummet down to 0 regardless of whatever brand I think I have established. And as I mentioned in the intro, people have already stolen my business name and logo and they've tried to use it to solicit their own clients and customers, but they have failed because once again, it's not the logo that magically drives all my revenue, it's the business execution. So I think it's important for most new entrepreneurs and startups to really focus on building up their business rather than spending all their time and money trying to set up a trademark for their business name or logo. Because truthfully, you have no idea how big your business will become and if your brand will be the reason for its growth. Now, on the flip side, if I had a very unique product or innovative product, or if I plan to raise millions of dollars, or if I plan to enter thousands of retail stores, or do marketing that supports building a brand like billboard advertising or TV commercials, then at that point, I think having a trademark is super important because now you're really focused on building the brand. And if competitors see something innovative or very trending, they may want to go after you. Also, don't forget about common law ownership. So you need to have national ambitions. If you just plan on opening a local restaurant, then it probably doesn't make sense to trademark your business yet. So that's my 2 cents on it, but I would love to hear from you. Okay, tell me down in the comment section below what your thoughts are on getting a trademark. Let's move on to number 4 and talk about how to set up a trademark step by step. Now, before I jump into the first step, I just want to give you the confidence that, hey, you can absolutely do this yourself. It's a super easy and very straightforward process. All right, so step number 1 is to determine your approval eligibility. Since it's going to require time and money to register your trademark, you want to make sure you have a solid chance of getting approval. For example, trademarking your personal name is only eligible if you meet certain criteria, such as being widely known. So you don't want to waste your time applying for it if no one knows who you are. Now, in general, your marks need to be unique and descriptive to have a solid chance of getting approval, because you don't want to have any conflicts with other companies' names and logos. So it should go without saying that you should already have your business name and logo finalized. Step number 2 is to perform a search. Once you make sure your mark is eligible, you need to make sure no one else is already using it. You can do this by searching the USPTO's Trademark Electric Search System, or TESS for short. If someone is already using your mark, then of course you won't be able to register it and you'll have to come up with a totally new idea. Now, if no one else is using your mark, then you can move on to step number 3 and fill out your application. So now it's time for the fun part, which is completing the application. You can do this by going online through the USPTO's Trademark Electric Application System, or TEAS for short. Now, this application will ask you for your contact information, a description of your mark, and what goods and services you plan on using with the mark. Now, there are detailed instructions provided on the USPTO.gov's official website. Now, while you're doing this application, you need to know you'll need to file an intent to use form where you will upload your logo if you're trademarking it. Okay, this is usually a JPEG image or a PDF with examples of how your logo may appear on products or be placed online or used otherwise. Step number 4 is the review process. So after you submit your application, usually within 7 days, you can check the status of your application, but sometimes it takes a little bit longer if there are some errors in your application. Now, once a status has been given to your application, you will be assigned a serial number and a government trademark attorney. This attorney will examine all the materials that you submitted to make sure it doesn't compare to any other business. After the attorney does a thorough review and sees no issues with your application, then he or she will approve the application in a USPTO online journal where people have 30 days to oppose your application. If no one files an opposition, then congratulations, your trademark is now official, and now you get to use that cool trademark symbol on your logo. But don't celebrate too long, because there's another step you may want to put in place, which is step number 5, a trademark watch. Because now you have exclusive rights to use that logo within the approved goods and services anywhere in the world. So if someone unlawfully uses your logo, you may file for infringement. So to make sure no one else is using your logo or a similar logo, you can set up a trademark watch service. Of course, this is completely optional, but this is something you can set up with an attorney or a specialized service to make sure you are always protected. Okay, step number 6 is to renew your trademark, because trademarks last for exactly 10 years. So you'll want to make sure somehow you make a note of this and make sure you renew when the time comes. Okay, now before we wrap up, I do want to make an important distinction between a trademark versus a copyright, because oftentimes people get them mixed up and they are not the same. So a copyright is usually associated with a specific creative work. For example, that may be a specific article or video production or computer programming software. It can be whatever. Okay, the point is it is a material and it is tangible, like other people can see it. So you can kind of think of it like A trademark is for the entire business, and the copyright protects the creative work that the business produces, which means, okay, you could have one trademark, but then you could have hundreds, even thousands of different copyrights. Now, in the context of your business logo, the trademark prevents people from using your exact business logo, whereas the copyright will protect the original design style, which prevents someone from just copying your design and then changing it out for their brand name or their brand colors. All right, so I hope you enjoyed all this great information. If you did, don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and all of that. Coming up next, I have 2 more business videos you may enjoy as well, so check those out if you haven't already, and I'll see you over there.